Because you know who just got political revenge on Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, who voted to impeach him after January 6th by supporting a primary candidate who pushed Cassidy out of the race. Now, MAGA loyalist Lindsey Graham said this should send a warning to the party as Cassidy left a parting message of his own for the party. Take a look.
You don't pout, you don't whine, you don't claim the election was stolen, you don't find a reason why, you don't manufacture some excuse. You thank the voters for the privilege of representing the state or the country for as long as you've had that privilege. And that's what I'm doing right now.
What's the headline? Trump strong. Those who try to destroy Trump politically, stand in the way of his agenda, are going to lose. Bill Cassidy's lost because he tried to destroy Trump. Massey's going to lose because he's trying to destroy the agenda. You can disagree with President Trump, but if you try to destroy him, you're going to lose because this is the party of Donald Trump.
That's the most honest thing I've heard Lindsey Graham say.
Except he's totally wrong, if I may. That Lindsey Graham clip really bothered me. Bill Cassidy voted with Donald Trump roughly 100% of the time.
Yeah.
It was not about not supporting his agenda, not supporting his policies.
But he voted to impeach him.
He voted for conviction in the
Correct.
Senate.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's about personalities, because to run through another brief list of people that Trump's now coming after, Lauren Boebert votes with him 100% of the time. Marjorie Taylor Greene, we've had her on the show. She voted with him 98% of the time, but dared to break with him on the Epstein files. And then Thomas Massey, who's up for a primary in Kentucky tomorrow, voted with him 84% of the time. It's about opposing him on any issue that he decides to hold against you. It's not about his agenda.
But
if it was, every one of these should still be in Congress.
But that's why I say that's the most important and I think honest thing Lindsey Graham has said. This is the Trump party. This is the Trumplican party. This is no longer the Republican Party of America First or even of kitchen table issues and affordability. If you disagree with Trump on anything, on his, I would say his revenge-filled personal enrichment agenda, then you are out. And I think that is why his approval rating right now is the lowest of any president in the past 17 years. The past 17 years. And I see this as a great opportunity for the Democrats to show the American people that they are here for affordability. They are here for healthcare. They are here for education. They are here for making people's lives better. This is a huge opportunity, despite the fact that they're trying to gerrymander the heck out of this country and take away the black vote.
I disagree with you that Lindsey was being honest there, and I think
that it's not the Trump party.
No, I think Lindsey knows he's lying, because when Lindsey says that Cassidy lost because he was trying to destroy Trump, no, Cassidy lost because he did the right thing and stood up against a man who was trying to destroy democracy. And the reason that Lindsey and practically every other Republican is so far up Trump's ass, all you can see is the sole of their feet, is because they are afraid of him and because they care a lot more about their jobs than they do about their constituents.
This is the Trump
no, it's
party.
not.
No,
what I will say is this, though. This tells us why, as long as Republicans are in power in the majority, there will never be accountability. There will never be checks and balances. There will never be oversight. And so if Americans want this to end, want the abuses of power checked, they have got to vote Democrats in November.
Yeah, well, the worst part of that soundbite to me is that people in Congress are also representative of constituents. They also have messages they're bringing to D.C. That is the legislative body. It can never be a person. But the problem is Donald Trump said, MAGA is me. I am MAGA. That is actually...
Would you agree there's no more Republican Party, that it's the Trumplican Party?
I'd like to hold out hope that there are some people. Right now, I think the problem is I thought that this would be more of an indication of what was to come because President Trump's approval ratings are so low.
Right.
The problem is MAGA is proving to be one of the most powerful voting blocs ever.
Well,
and the reason, real quickly, the reason it crosses with me is as an independent, I'm not a party person. I'm not a person above people. They have picked Donald Trump, not even policy. So even when he changes the rules in the game and moves the ball for what MAGA stands for,
or if you vote with him 100% of the time.
The Republicans are Donald Trump.
Well, I want to remind everybody that including including in the off-year elections last year, Democrats flipped 30 Republican seats since the start of you-know-who's term, which was seen as a referendum against him. And of all of his primary endorsements so far in 2026, his success rate of his candidates winning is 41% right now. So I don't know if this one case confirms that he has a hold on the party. I will say that, you know, when you listen to the media, when you watch all these shows, it's like, it's him, it's him, it's him. When you talk to Republicans who are actually Republicans, say, no, I'm not with him. I don't understand where his...
Republicans that aren't in office.
No, it's an important point because in primaries, Donald Trump does well. He keeps defeating other Republicans who have dared to oppose him.
Yes.
It's actually winning general elections that are a lot harder. Part of why the Senate is now in play for Democrats is because people like Tom Tillis are leaving because they dared to break with Trump. But I just want to say one final thing on Bill Cassidy. Someone I actually respect, though I disagree with his RFK vote and so on, but I'm very tired of people retiring and then saying what they really think about President
Because
Trump.
they can't
There's
win.
way
Because they
too
can't
much.
win.
But it shouldn't be about winning. I don't want senators who see it as a lifetime role. I want them to see it as, you know, a term.
remember, he cannot win
he
if they
bent a
go
little with
against
the vote
Trump.
for
But
RFK.
I want people who are okay with losing to do the right thing.
He did the right thing post January 6th, and then he caved a little and said, "I'll win back."
He voted for a vaccine denier, and he's a doctor.
And he's
But
a
my
physician.
point is, that's probably where it's burning the most. Is
Yes.
whereas Massey, who goes, his
What do you mean
election
where
is
it's burning the most?
Well, he
because
regrets it
he
the
bent
most.
the knee. He stood for something right. Then he thought, oh, I'll try to do this, and took the hit. Saw what it did with RFK Jr. He's doing terrible things, and now he's still lost his place and his position.
He is do what you actually believe.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes,
Damn
you know,
the
you gotta...
consequences.
What everybody needs to know is sometimes you know who wins and sometimes he doesn't. That doesn't mean he's the end-all, be-all. That's where we all come in.